بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. فما بعد, we come to the second person who was promised Jannah in his lifetime, second of the Asharum Mubashara, the 10 who were given the Bashara of Jannah in their lifetime, and that is Sayyidina Omar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. Now, Sayyidina Omar was a very special person, and among his many fadail is the fact that Rasulullah said about him that if Omar comes down a street, shaitan, if he is on that street, shaitan will find another street. He will take another street. He will not cross Sayyidina Omar on the pathway. Sayyidina Omar al-Khattab is the man about whom Rasulullah said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completed nubuwwat and risalat with me, but if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had intended to continue nubuwwat, continue prophethood, then Umar would have been the Khalifa, would have been the Nabi after me. So this is the among the fadail of Umar al-Khattab radhiyallahu anhu. He was one of the few Sahaba and probably the one on whose requests and on whose questions Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Quran the most. Ayat were revealed thanks to the questions asked by Umar ibn al-Khattab radhiyallahu anhu to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, thanks to some of the concerns that Sayyidina Umar had about the welfare of the Ummah, which he placed before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself answered those questions and took care of those concerns. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu in his Khilafah is credited with having introduced some very significant and some very major initiatives of an administrative and governmental nature, which were absolutely critical in view of the expanding of the Muslim rule and the what we know now historically we say the Rashidun time, the Khilafah Rashida of the Muslim Empire, and therefore certain things became necessary. For example, Sayyidina Umar was the first man who introduced an actual standing army. Because before that it was all a conscript army. People just came together. Everyone knew how knew the arts of warfare. Everyone knew how to use a sword and a spear, and most people knew how to use a bow and arrow and so on. Everyone rode horses. So for a cavalry force to come together for a skirmish or for a short raid was the norm in pre-Islamic Arabia and even in post-Islamic Arabia. This was the norm. But actual campaigns of conquest, which required a huge amount of strategic thought and planning, which required supply chains, which required troops to be in position before battles, which required actual formations of all of this stuff, which was well known in the. It was not something new. All of these things are well known because you had at the time we are talking about, you had two of the biggest empires, which is the Persian Empire and the Roman Empire, who had huge armies and who had been walking the conquest trail for centuries before that. So, but the Arabs had no knowledge of that. The Arabs had no standing armies. The Arabs were not on a conquest thing. But Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radhiyallahu anhu was the first one to introduce this concept of a standing army, where soldiers were paid salaries. Otherwise, soldiers simply took booty from the war. And one of the reasons why Sayyidina Omar radiallahu anhu instituted a standing army with soldiers who were given a salary was because in the course of the conquest, especially when what we know today as Syria and Iraq, all of this was called Sham. When this was conquered, these were lands between the Tigris and Euphrates. This was literally the food bowl of the world. The extremely very, very fertile lands producing food for practically all of that area and more, for millions of people who benefited from that. These lands got divided up between the soldiers. And Sayyidina Bilal bin Rabah radiallahu anhu, for example, as part of his war booty, he got, in today's context, he got literally thousands of acres of land. Now, he didn't know how to farm. He had no means of farming. You just give him thousands of acres of land, and the man is not a farmer. What happens? The land falls fallow, and crops are not harvested. Crops are not sown, and everyone suffers because there's no food. So Sayyidina Omar radiallahu anhu took back everything. He took all of those things back. People were very unhappy. Many of them were extremely unhappy with that. But Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him. He took all that back. He said all this belongs to the state. It does not belong to individuals, and the individuals will be compensated in cash and in money and so on. And soldiers will fight for salary. So this was a very major reform, and something which could not have been done by anyone other than a strong ruler who had clear strategic thought. Now, I am absolutely convinced that Sayyidina Omar radiallahu anhu was literally guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this can be said about several of the Sahaba who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to guide. And obviously they are not Anbiya, they did not receive Wahi, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided them because they instituted things which were completely unknown for the time, for the place, and there is no way of explaining why that happened or how it happened except by saying that they were guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sayyidina Umar also was also responsible for a formal institution of what would be called in today's terms the state treasury, which was the Baitul Mal, where revenues were collected, were then systematically accounted, and then they were systematically distributed all over the empire. Sayyidina Umar was the first one to introduce a system of a subsidy for every newborn child. So as soon as you had a child, you were given a subsidy from the state, which also encouraged people to have more children, and also it took the pressure off feeding and raising children, took the pressure off the people themselves. On the other hand, Sayyidina Umar himself radiallahu anhu was one of the most humble, one of the most parsimonious, one of the most simple people that ever existed. He was extremely conscious of the fact that he was the ruler, and he was very, very conscious that he should not do something which would hold him accountable before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Among his many wonderful sayings, he said that if a donkey stumbles on a path in the area that I have been given responsibility for, Allah will question me about that donkey. Imagine, that's the kind of standard the man held himself to. His biographers have said that the 10 years of his, the period of his Khilafah, they said he did not lie down and sleep during that entire period. He would be awake, he would just sort of lean somewhere, or maybe by sitting, while he was sitting he would doze, while he was standing he would doze. There's something about him, we said he was to literally doze standing up. In his part of his way of managing and ruling was that he would go out in the night incognito, sometimes with the servant, sometimes alone, and he would go to particularly vulnerable places in Medina, and he would see the condition of people there, and he would then take action to alleviate their suffering. There are some wonderful stories. One day he went to a place where there was There were some people from outside who had come, and they were camped together. And it was very late in the night, and he found that one of the children, one of the women, her child was continuously crying, and obviously to disturb other people and so on. So Sayyidina Omar asked her, he said, "What's wrong with you? Why don't you feed the child? The child is obviously hungry. So why don't you nurse him?" So the woman said, this is because Omar has said that he will give a subsidy only to a child which has been weaned. So I am trying to get this child to stop nursing and start eating solid food, so that I am a poor person, so that we can get a subsidy from the state. So I am doing that. Now Sayyidina Omar radiallahu anhu, he reprimanded himself. He said, "Ya Omar, because of you, how much hardship has been caused." He said to the woman, "From tomorrow, come and get a subsidy." And then he instituted this this rule to say that every newborn child will be given a subsidy. You don't have to wait until the child has been weaned. So this is the kind-heartedness of Sayyidina Omar. People think that he was a very harsh man. He was not. He was harsh on himself. One day, he called the people to come to the masjid. So they came. The masjid filled up. He stood on the mimbar, and he said, "There was a time when I was a shepherd." He said, "I was a shepherd. I was a little boy. I was a shepherd. I used to graze the sheep and goats of my aunts, and sometimes a sheep or a goat would get lost, and my aunt would beat me, and they would say, 'You are not even fit to graze sheep.' And he said, 'Today I am the Amirul Mu'mineen. I am the Khalifa of this place.'" And that was it. He got off the mimbar. People listened to him, they went away. Sayyidina Abdul Rahman ibn Auf radiallahu anhu was present. So he said to Sayyidina Umar, "What was the point of the story? All you did was you stood on the mimbar, you said something which did not reflect very well on you. You devalued yourself before the people. You demeaned yourself before the people. Why? What was the point of this?" He said the point was that when I was walking down the street coming to the masjid, in my heart, my nafs said, "Ya Omar, there was a time when you were a shepherd, and today you are the Khalifa of the Muslims. Imagine, you are such a great man now. You are ruling the whole country." He said, "I had to show my nafs its place." So he used the same wording. He said, "This was for myself. This was for myself. I had to publicly say this." Another one of the beautiful stories. He was so many of them. He was going somewhere with his and his servant was with him, and there was a tent, a very humble-looking tent, which was pitched outside of Medina, and Sayyidina Omar could hear children crying. So he went there, and he saw that there was just this woman, and she had 2 or 3 young children, small children, and they were crying. So the man, Sayyidina Omar asked him, and there was something cooking on a wood fire. So Sayyidina Omar said, "Why don't you finish cooking and feed the children? Why are they hungry?" The woman said, "There's nothing in that pot. There's just water, and there's nothing in the pot because I have nothing to feed them with. So I just put the pot there to boil so that they think that food is going to be cooked, and I hope that they just fall asleep." Sayyidina Omar went back. He took a bag of, they used to have this dried date powder called sattu. So which you mix it with water, it's like a porridge. So and it's very highly nutritious because it's got sugar, it's got carbohydrates, it's got fiber, it's got the works. So Sayyidina Omar took this bag of this sattu on his back and started coming towards this tent. So his servant said, "Yes, I am here with you. Why am I here? I mean, give me the bag. I am here to carry the weight." He said, "No." He said, "No, this is my responsibility. Allah will ask me, why did you make somebody else carry your responsibility? On the day of judgment, we all carry our own weight." He said, "I will carry it." He carried it. He took it there. The servant says that I watched him. He put it in the pot. Then he started cooking it, and the fire was going down. So he blew into the fire like this. And he said, "I saw the smoke of the fire filtering and coming out from his beard." Sayyidina Umar had a big, lush beard. He said the smoke came out of it. He said he was there until the food finished cooking, and then he said to the mother, let it cool and feed your children. Then he came and he sat where his servant was sitting, a little way away from the tent. So the servant said, I said to him, yeah, Sayyidi, you have finished, the work is over, let's go. He said, no. I saw them, I heard them crying, I want to hear them laughing. I want to see them happy. This is Umar ibn Khattab. Then, one time, again, this motif of tent and so on is very common, because this was those were the times. So Sayyidina Umar, again, he saw this tent pitched outside Medina. The reason I'm saying outside is because the norm was that if someone came, an outsider came to Medina, and if they had some relatives in the town, then they would go stay with them. Right? They didn't have to pitch a tent somewhere, because obviously there were no hotels and so on, but it's part of hospitality that if a relative comes, he stays in your house. So they would stay. So if there is a tent by itself, it means that these are strangers, they have no support in this town. So he saw this tent and he saw a man sitting outside the tent, and the man was looked as if he was in terrible worry on his face, and there was this sound of this woman weeping and crying out in pain from inside the tent. So Sayyidina Umar went there. He said, what's wrong? What's happening here? Who is this person in the tent? So the man said, go away. Who are you? I'm not interested in talking to you. That's my affairs. Leave me to my affairs. I don't need you. Sayyidina Umar said, look, don't get upset. I want to help you. He didn't say who he was. He said, I want to help you. So just tell me, if I can help you, I'll help you. So the man said, look, the situation is that this is my wife, she's inside, she's in labor, she's about to have a child, she doesn't know what to do, I don't know what to do, she's in pain, right? Now, what can you do? So Sayyidina Umar said, okay, hold on a second. He went home, he asked his wife was Kulthum bint Ali bint Fatima radiyallahu anhuma, the granddaughter of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the sister of Hassan and Hussein radiyallahu anhuma, the daughter of Ali and Fatima radiyallahu anhuma. Warda. This was the wife of Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu. So those people, and this is on a side note, those people who say that Sayyidina Ali and Sayyidina Umar were like this, they were enemies. Sayyidina Umar smashed the door of the house of Sayyidina Fatima, and he broke her arm, and so on and so forth. Na'udhu billah. All of these are a bunch of lies that are propagated, because the very simple question to ask is, Sayyidina Umar married the daughter of Sayyidina Ali Sayyidina Ali was the wali for his daughter. Sayyidina Ali was the one who gave away his daughter in marriage to Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu. And Sayyidina, how would that have happened if Sayyidina Umar was an enemy? How would that have happened? How would the girl, how would she have married a man who broke her mother's arm? I mean, really, seriously, when people talk a bunch of lies, they must at least use some sense and think, invent lies which look believable. Please understand, the Sahaba, did they have disagreements? Of course, many of the Sahaba had disagreements, but they did not disagree in the nasty way that we disagree. They did not abuse each other. They did not lambast each other. They did not curse each other. They did not say, I will not pray behind you or anything. Their disagreement was for an issue, and the purpose of the disagreement was to get to the bottom of the issue. When these disagreements became conflicts, and I know there were wars fought on that, which was because of different interpretations of things, but those were exceptions, those were not the rule. Literally the battle of Jamal, where Sayyidah Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu anha, our mother, she took one side and Sayyidina Ali was on the other side. Sayyidina Ali went into the battle and saved her and brought her to safety. Because she and her side lost the battle, Sayyidina Ali won the battle, radiallahu anhu, and he saved her and brought her out. He made sure that she was not touched, that nobody could have harmed her. And this is because he had promised Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam this. And see the beauty. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, Ya Ali, a time will come when you and Aisha will have a disagreement. She will be wrong, you will be right. My brothers and sisters, understand this is not about Shia Sunni. I am Sunni, Shafi'i, Alhamdulillah. This is not about Shia Sunni. This is history. Read history. Don't read a bunch of propaganda and lies. History is what? History is Rasulullah said to Sayyidina Ali, and obviously years before, right? Years before. Because this battle happened in the Khilafah of Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib. Before that was the Khilafah of Sayyidina Uthman, Sayyidina Omar, Sayyidina Abu Bakr. All of this was before. This hadith refers to a time long before this battle. Sayyidina Rasulullah, he said, there will come a time when, Ya Ali, you and Aisha will be on two different positions, and there will be a conflict between the two of you. You will be right, Aisha will be wrong, but save her. Sayyidina Ali said, Ya Rasulullah, I hope I do not live to see that day. But this was the prediction of Rasulullah. It came true, and Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu proved true to his promise. He did not break his promise to the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. We honor Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. We honor him. Ala ra'si wa ala aini. On my head and on my eyes. We do not worship him. We do not ask help from him. We don't say, Ya Ali madad. We say, Ya Allah madad. So that's a side note. Now we come back to the story. The story is, he went home and he said to his wife, Kulthum bint Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhuma, he said to her, are you interested in earning Jannah? So she said, yeah, of course. He said, then this is the story. So take whatever you need to take and let's go help these people. So she took some cloths and so on and so forth. She took a utensil to boil water. She took some water, and he took some food, some cooking, again, this date thing, porridge material, and they both went. Who is this? The ruler of the country and his wife. The ruler of the country and his wife. And his wife is a princess of princesses. Right? She is the granddaughter of the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. You don't get higher than that. They went there. She went inside and she said, boil the water, bring it. She boiled the water, he brought it. She went inside. She was taking care of the labor of this lady. Sayyidina Omar sat there with this man and he cooked some food for them. And then they heard an infant cry out, and Sayyida Kulthum radiallahu anha, she called out and said, Amirul Mu'mineen, tell your friend that he has a son. That is when the man got a shock. He said, you are the Amirul Mu'mineen, you are the ruler, you are the Khalifa. Sayyidina Umar said, yes. He said, you are doing this, your wife is inside there, helping my wife, and you are cooking food for us. He said, yes. He said, this is my duty. This is my duty. This was Umar ibn Khattab. Another beautiful story. He and his servant again on a patrol, and they go to a place in Medina which was a very poor locality. So as they are walking through there, they hear a conversation. They stop outside the house and they're hearing a conversation between two women. And from the conversation, they realize that one is a mother, one is a daughter. And the mother says to the daughter, put some water into the milk. Right? Adulterate the milk. Put some water into the milk. So you add water in the milk, the volume expands, so therefore you make some more money because you are now selling more volume. The girl says, no, I will not do that because the Amirul Mu'mineen, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, has warned us and has ruled that to do this is haram, it is deception, and we do not deceive. The mother said, Omar is not here to see this. Now she doesn't know he is there outside the house and listening to the whole conversation. She said, Omar is not here to see this. Do what I am telling you to do. The girl said, Omar is not here, but the Rabb of Omar is here. Allah is here. Omar cannot see, but Allah can see. Radiallahu anhu. Now Sayyidina Omar radiallahu anhu heard this whole conversation. He said to the servant, mark this house, and tomorrow morning, first thing, come and buy milk from these people and check to see whether there is water in the milk or not. And then bring both of them to me. So this was done. The next morning the servant went, he bought the milk, he checked, and he brought the mother and daughter to Sayyidina Omar bin Khattab. By then now Sayyidina Omar is in his court. Sayyidina Abdullah bin Abbas, and Abbas, his father, Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib, he is also there in the court. These two came, mother and daughter. Sayyidina Omar asked, was the milk adulterated? The man said, no, milk is pure, water has not been added. Sayyidina Omar said, Alhamdulillah. Then Sayyidina Omar he told them the story. He told the story to Sayyidina Abbas and whoever was there. He said, this is what happened last night. I was there and I overheard this conversation and so on and so on. And now I see these people, they have not adulterated the milk. He said to Sayyidina Abbas, he said, what should we do in this case? Sayyidina Abbas said, punish that old woman, punish the mother, because she is misguiding her child. Sayyidina Omar said, no, I don't want to punish her, because whatever she did, she has a reason for doing that. It was wrong, obviously, but I think she has learnt her lesson. She will not do it, so I will not punish her. And then he said to the mother, where is the father of this daughter? The mother said, father is gone, father has passed away, there's no one there. He said, we are poor people, it's just me and my daughter, there's no one else in our family. So Sayyidina Omar then radiallahu anhu said, is your daughter married? He said, no. Now you must be wondering, why is he asking the mother, why doesn't he ask the daughter? This is part of our haya. This is part of our Islamic culture, this is part of modesty, that you don't directly talk to the person concerned. He said, are you married? Do you want to get married? Say yes or no. No, we don't do all that. You speak to the parents. If you want to send a proposal, you send a proposal through the parents to her parents and so on. So he asked the mother. Mother said, no, she is not married. She said, yeah, I will marry. We are poor people. We are selling milk to live. Who will marry my daughter? Who will marry? We have nothing. We are destitute people. He said, who will marry my daughter? Sayyidina Omar then asked his son. He said, does any of you want to marry this girl? Abdullah bin Umar, radiallahu anhu, he said, I am married. I am not looking for a second wife, so I will not marry her. Asim bin Omar bin Al-Khattab, radiallahu anhu, he said, my father, I am not married. I would like to marry the girl. Sayyidina Omar radiallahu anhu married this poor, destitute girl to his own son, who is the son of the Khalifa, son of the king. Now the historians tell us that 2 generations later, it was their Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, the great virtuous Khalifa of the Banu Umayyah, was a descendant of this union of between Sayyidina Asim and this lady. He was their great-great-grandson. Final story of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, which shows us how he was with his own family. We were talking about his generosity, his kindness and so on, to poor people, to people who are strangers and whatnot. His own family, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, I'll tell you 2 stories. One, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu was going around, he used to do a lot of this. He used to walk around all over the place to check people and things and so on. He came to a place which was the public grazing land of Medina. So in Medina there was this, and in most Muslim cities, this was the case where there would be a land which belonged to the state, which was designated as grazing land, and anybody could graze their animals in this land. So he went to this place, he saw this grazing land, camels are grazing and so on and so on. He asked the shepherd, whose camels are these, who camels, and they told him. One of them said, these camels belong to your son, Abdullah bin Umar. So Sayyidina Umar said, how many are there? He said, so many. He came back home, he called his son and he said, those camels which are grazing in the public grazing land, I am confiscating them. Enter them into the state treasury. So Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, Ya Abati, he said, my father, this is my property. I own these camels. There's nothing illegal about that. I own these camels and they're grazing on public land. I'm not grazing them in somebody else's garden. This is public land. I am part of the public. I am a citizen of the state just like anybody else. Sayyidina Umar said, no. He said, on paper you are a citizen like anybody else, but in reality you are my son. Therefore, it is entirely possible that the others, in deference to the fact that they are your camels, because the camels of the prince, the camels of the son of the ruler, they would let, it is entirely possible that they would have let those camels, your camels, eat the best grass, graze in the best places, give them preference for watering them when they come to the watering wells in the evening, and so on and so forth. Therefore, your camels would have got preference over that. So I am confiscating them for the state, and the state will then distribute them to the poor. Right? This was his level of justice to the point of severity with his own family. He said, I will not allow anyone in my family to do anything which can be misconstrued, which can be misused, and which can be used as an accusation of corruption. Final story, Abdullah bin Omar and Asim ibn Omar, radiallahu anhu. They were in the north. They were in Baghdad at that time, or Damascus. And the governor of Damascus was Abu Musa al-Ashari, radiallahu anhu. So they were planning to travel to Medina. So when they were planning to travel to Medina, the custom was that when you left, when you entered an area, you declared yourself to the authorities, and when you left, you took permission. So like you have passport control, right? This was the norm. Now the special people, they actually had to go and talk to and meet the Khalifa, or meet the governor, because these were not just ordinary citizens. These were special people. So they would go and meet the governor, and they would take permission to leave. So when these two were planning to come back to Medina, they went to meet Abu Musa al-Ashari, who was like their uncle, and they took permission. So he said, go with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his protection. He said, I have a favor, since you two are going. He said, there is this large amount of cash that I need to send to Medina. Normally I would have had to, create a military detachment, whatnot, and send it. But since you two are here, will you agree to take this cash and give it to your father? Meaning give it to him, it's not personal cash, it's state funds. So give it to your father, meaning enter it into the treasury. So they said yes. Then Asim radiallahu anhu, he asked him, he said, Ya Sayyidi, my leader, my governor, my uncle, do you give us permission to use this cash as capital to trade on the way to Medina? Meaning, using this cash, say the cash was, say $100,000, will you allow me to buy stuff worth $100,000, sell it on the way, and if I make a profit, I keep the profit. If I make a loss, then I put that loss and I give 100,000 to the Khalifa. So you are sending 100,000, the Khalifa will get 100,000. There is no compromise in that. But can I use this as capital to do some trade on the way, instead of simply taking the cash and handing it over? So Abu Musa radiallahu anhu said, most welcome, please go ahead, do that, as long as the amount is the same and the amount reaches the Khalifa of the Muslimin, that's enough. So they did that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them barakah. So they made a considerable amount of profit. Now both of them reach Medina, they're very happy. They take the money and give it to their father, and this is for the state. And of course they also tell him the story. This is what happened on the way. You use this money to trade, and this is the amount of profit we made. So the Omar radiallahu anhu says, enter the money and the profit into the treasury. That's the period. Now these two are shocked. They are shocked. So they come out of there, and so then Asim says to his elder brother Abdullah bin Umar, he said, you ask him, why, what's wrong? I mean, we took permission for this. Person giving permission knows deen. This is Abu Musa al-Ashari radiallahu anhu. So his permission is tantamount to a fatwa to say, yes, you can do that. We ask permission, and we are declaring it, we are not hiding it. But the profit belongs to us, because we made the effort, we took the risk and so on. And if there had been a loss, we would have, made it up. Abdullah bin Umar said, I am not asking my father, our father, anything. You want to ask, you ask. So Asif radiallahu anhu, he said, Ya Abati, my father, please have mercy on us. We made all the effort and this is what happened. What is our fault? Sayyidina Omar said, there is no fault. What you have done is not illegal. What you have done is not haram. But what you have done can raise questions in the minds of people who do not know this whole story, that here were the sons of Omar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, who misappropriated some wealth. They do not know how much money Abu Musa radiallahu anhu sent. They do not know how much money I got. All that they will know is that you have suddenly, after this trip, you have got some wealth, and they will ascribe it to you, and that will come to me. So I am not going to allow anything which brings a bad name or potential of suspicion to the family of the Khalifa. So all the money into the treasury. Now this is Umar ibn Khattab. Right? So alhamdulillah, I can go on forever. I don't want to do that. We are ending we are coming to the closing of our session here. Please do read the stories. My purpose of doing this whole Sahaba, the gold standard series, and we have done a lot of episodes on this, is really to give you a taster, so that to encourage you to go and read the beautiful histories of these people. These are our Salafus Salihin. These are our actual spiritual ancestors. And ancestors, not whichever father, grandfather, great grandfather, and so on we came from. Those are of course our genetic ancestors. Alhamdulillah, may Allah make them the best and forgive them. But our real spiritual ancestors, because we are Muslims and we are joined together because of our faith. Our spiritual ancestors are these people. So I encourage you, please read the stories of the Sahaba and read them make the intention and say, Allah, make me like them. Make me love them. Make me be like them. Make me do actions and take decisions like they acted and like they took decisions. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept us. We ask Allah to accept these people. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fill the qubur of the Sahaba of Rasulullah with His nur and raise their darajat beyond anything that we can conceive. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyil kareem wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.